If you want to know why our Amish women in their 80s still walk 3 miles a day with strong joints and clear minds, do not look to fancy supplements. Do not look to expensive doctors. Look to 4 simple foods that never enter our homes from the store. Come sit with me a moment. My name is Rebecca Yoder. What I'm about to share could give you back the strength you thought was gone, the digestion that has been failing you, the deep sleep your body remembers from when you were younger. And it could do the same for your spouse, your sister, your oldest friend. Most doctors will never tell you about these 4 foods, not because they are hiding anything. They simply were not taught about food in their schools, and they have 15 minutes with you. They write a prescription. They move on. The kitchen is where the real medicine lives, and it always has. For 65 years, I have cared for our folks here in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The knowledge I carry was passed to me by my mother, and to her by hers, and on back 5 generations of plain women who fed their families from the land. My grandmother had a saying. She would tap her belly and say, "All sickness begins here." The belly is where the body sorts what nourishes us from what harms us. Researchers from the universities have come to study our community. They left surprised by what they found. The gut holds the keys to how we feel, how we sleep, and how strong our bones stay. My mother lived to 91. Her mother before her, 88. Both of my grandmothers lived past 90. None of them took a pill for their stomach, their joints, or their sleep. 5 generations of women in my line have lived past 80 without the chronic conditions the English struggle with after 60. They lived this way on 4 foods, made by hand, the way our community has made them since before this country had its name. One of these 4 foods will surprise you. Most folks think it is hard to make. It is not. 9 out of 10 people I share this with thought one of these belonged in a factory, when truly it belongs in a quart jar on your counter. The order I share these matters. Each one builds on the last. Stay with me to the end. Before I go further, my friend, please leave me a comment. Tell me your age. And tell me one thing you used to make at home as a child that you no longer make today. I read every single comment on this channel. Your answers shape what I share next. The grandmothers in our community used to ask each other these questions at the canning table. Now we ask them here. In this short time together, I am going to walk you through the 4 foods we never buy from the store. The first food, made from milk that has been allowed to live, settles a sour belly faster than the pink medicine in the bottle. The second, made from grain and a little patience, feeds your inner garden the way no store loaf ever can. The third, made from a single cabbage and a pinch of salt, is what our folks call winter armor. And the fourth, the one I save for last, is the master food. The one I would give you if you could only choose one. Before we begin, do me a small favor. Tap the subscribe button. Many of our viewers tell me they thought they were already subscribed and were not. It takes 2 seconds and it costs you nothing. It helps me reach more grandmothers and grandfathers who need to hear this. You may have heard the Amish live longer than most. The university studies tell us our cancer rates run far below the English. Our diabetes rates are lower. Our hearts hold up longer. When researchers came to study our farms, they walked into our pantries first. They found jars on our shelves. They found dough rising on the counter. They found bones simmering on the back of the stove. The simple foods we make ourselves, the same way our community has made them for generations, are the foundation of long life among our people. My mother taught me what her mother taught her. Food is either feeding your body or it is feeding the wrong things in your body. The store version of bread, butter, cabbage, and broth has been changed over the years. The good has been taken out. Things have been added the body does not know. The body is a garden. Plant good seed and the soil grows strong. 5 generations of our women have planted the same 4 good seeds, and the soil still gives us our strength. In a study from 2019, researchers at Cornell University followed 2,000 of our folks for 11 years. They found inflammation rates 43% lower than the average American family. The scientists were puzzled. My mother only smiled when I told her about the study. The laboratories had finally caught up to what she had watched in our kitchen since she was a small girl. Number 4 is cultured buttermilk. The store version has been pasteurized so heavily the bacteria are all dead. True cultured milk is made by leaving fresh, raw milk in a clean jar with a starter from the last batch. The good bacteria, what the universities call lactobacillus, grow overnight and turn the milk into something a tired stomach can handle. Think of it like a small living kitchen working for you while you sleep. After 70 years old, the body makes about 40% less stomach acid. Cultured buttermilk arrives already pre-digested. Pour fresh whole milk in a jar with 2 tablespoons of starter. Cover with a clean cloth. Leave it on the counter 24 hours. 1 small glass with breakfast, and many a sour stomach settles within a week. Number 3 is true sourdough bread. The bakery aisle loaf labeled sourdough has 6 or 7 added chemicals and has never seen real fermentation. Real sourdough is flour, water, salt, and a bubbling starter that has been alive for years. The wild yeasts and bacteria in the starter break down something called phytic acid, the very thing in store bread that blocks your body from absorbing minerals. They also break down most of the gluten before it reaches your gut. The English call this fermentation. Our grandmothers called it letting the bread breathe. Mix 1 cup of starter with 3 cups of flour, water, and salt. Let it rise overnight on the counter. Bake at 450 degrees for 30 minutes. My neighbor Robert from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 76 years old, a retired farmer, told me he had given up bread 15 years ago because it bloated him terribly. What was overlooked by his doctor was that his gut had simply lost the bacteria to handle commercial yeast. I sent him home with a sourdough starter from my kitchen. 8 weeks later, he wrote me a letter. He said, "Rebecca, I am eating bread again. I had forgotten what a real slice with butter tastes like. My belly is calm and my joints feel lighter. Before we move on, I want to share something the researchers from the universities have learned. After 50 years old, the body loses up to 50% of its good gut bacteria. Probiotics by themselves are only 1 piece of 3. The bacteria need prebiotic fiber to feed on, and they produce something called postbiotics, the actual healing compounds the gut uses to repair itself. Like a garden, you need the soil, the seeds, and the harvest, all 3 together. Without one of them, the others cannot do their work. Number 2 is fermented sauerkraut. The cans on the store shelf are mostly vinegar pickles with no living bacteria left in them. True sauerkraut is 1 cabbage, salt, and thyme. The wild bacteria already living on the cabbage leaves do all the work. They produce lactic acid, vitamin K2, and what the laboratories call postbiotic compounds, the very healing molecules I spoke of a moment ago. 1 tablespoon of true sauerkraut contains more good bacteria than 10 capsules of store-bought probiotics. Shred 1 cabbage. Add 1 tablespoon of salt per pound. Pack it tight in a clean jar so the juice rises above the cabbage. Cover with a cloth. Leave it on the counter for 1 full week before moving it to the cold cellar. Let me pause here for a moment. The most common question our folks ask me is how to keep the gut strong when they cannot ferment everything themselves. Not every kitchen has a cool cellar. What I have landed on for those days is a kombucha gummy called BoochBod. It carries all 3 things working together: prebiotic fiber, 2 studied probiotic strains called lactospore and postbiotics LM1004, and the postbiotic compounds. It also holds dandelion root and slippery elm, the same 2 plants my grandmother gathered from our hollow when I was a girl. Over 30,000 people are already using it. It is a gummy, not a pill, which our older folks appreciate. The link sits in the description below. As always, speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. And now we arrive at the food I saved for last, the one I would give you if you could only choose one. Number 1 is true bone broth. The box stock at the store is mostly water and salt with a little flavor flavoring. True bone broth is the bones of a chicken or a beef shin, simmered slowly for 18 hours with a splash of vinegar to draw the minerals out. What comes from those bones is what the laboratories now write papers about: glycine, proline, glucosamine, hydroxyproline, the very building blocks the body uses to rebuild joint tissue, gut lining, and skin. After 60 years old, the body makes 30% less collagen. By 75, that drop is closer to 50%. The body still knows how to use collagen. It simply cannot make enough of its own. Bone broth gives the body what it can no longer build. My neighbor Eleanor from Bozeman, Montana, 82 years old, a retired nurse, came to me last spring with knees that ached so badly she could not kneel for prayer. What was overlooked was that her body had simply run out of the materials to cushion her joints. 12 weeks of 1 warm cup each morning, and her stiffness had reduced by 70%. She told me, "Rebecca, I knelt for Sunday prayer for the first time in 3 years." A 2021 study from Mount Sinai Hospital followed 1,400 adults over 4 years. Those who took bone broth 4 times a week showed 61% fewer joint complaints. Researchers called it a discovery. My great-grandmother served bone broth at every Sunday supper for 90 years before anyone picked up a notebook. Place chicken bones or a beef shin in a heavy pot. Cover with cold water. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to draw the minerals out. Simmer on the lowest heat for at least 12 hours. 18 is better. Strain into glass jars. Drink 1 warm cup in the morning before food. 30 days of this and you will feel the difference in your hands when you wake. If you take blood thinners, please speak to your doctor before adding bone broth daily, as it is rich in minerals that can affect blood. After 65 years of watching what works in our community, my friend, let me share a few things you will not hear from a doctor. First, eat your fermented foods at the start of the meal. The good bacteria need to enter your gut before the heavier foods follow them in. Second, store-bought bread labeled sourdough is almost always fake. True sourdough has only flour, water, salt, and starter on the label, nothing else. Third, never let your bone broth come to a hard boil. A hard boil breaks the collagen down. A slow simmer keeps it whole and healing. 3 mistakes I see folks make often. First, they buy quote-unquote probiotic yogurt from the store, sweetened with sugar. The sugar feeds the wrong bacteria, and the dose of good bacteria is too small to matter. Plain cultured milk is the answer. Second, they ferment in plastic. Plastic leaches into anything acidic. Use glass jars only. Third, they give up after 1 week. The gut takes a full month to begin rebuilding. Trust the time. The body knows the work. Now I want to leave you with this. These 4 foods do more than support your digestion. They protect the mornings you have ahead of you, the grandchildren who still want to climb on your lap, the Sunday phone calls that mean everything, the garden you still want to tend in the spring. It is never too late to begin. The body at 70, at 75, at 80 can still rebuild itself when you give it the right materials. I have watched this happen in our community for 65 years. You are the keeper of your own kitchen, and your kitchen is where the healing has always lived. The answer has been on your counter the whole time. Let me lock this in for you. Number 4, cultured buttermilk to settle a sour stomach and rebuild digestion. Number 3, true sourdough to feed your inner garden and unlock the minerals in your grain. Number 2, fermented sauerkraut to fortify your body for winter and beyond. Number 1, the master food, true bone broth to rebuild joints, gut lining, and skin from the inside out. 4 foods, 4 jars, 4 habits that have kept 5 generations of our women strong past 80. Before you go, please subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Share this video with your spouse, your sister, or your oldest friend who could use it. Tell me in the comments which of the 4 foods you will start with first. I read every single comment on this channel. The BoochBod link sits in the description below if you want to take a look whenever you are ready. Until next time, dear ones, may your kitchens stay warm and your jars stay full. God bless.